Hello everybody, I hope I'm audible right now, and let's just simply continue from here on. Hopefully everything's clear. Hello everybody. Yeah. So coming back to this, first of all, the duration of the live is gonna be no doubt an hour. But the interesting part is that the last time that bug that we were trying to resolve, or I mean we were trying to just simply fix that wasn't altogether a different one, and I was working on a different thing. So let's just simply fix that part right now. So ultimately if we are right clicking, so we are gonna be returning from here anyhow, or let's just return like this as well, that is also fine. And that is fine. And now the thing that actually we wanna check in here, that is canvas renderer, and we don't have to fix the marquee selection in here, draw marquee selection. This is not the one that we actually need to work on. So render overlay, let's just simply get rid of this marquee select, it is even fine. So marquee selection box is gonna be here, then render preview shapes are here, preview shapes, render shapes, draw eraser background, not even this. Group selection is something that we have to take care of. So when it comes to this group selection, now I think this is the problem. Selection, let me check this if it runs. So as for the selection box, this is from use selection. Let's get rid of this right now, and so type is the selector from use select all. So let me get rid of this type as well, or type is select, that is fine, no need to worry about that. The interesting thing is that when we click on this selector, right click the type select all, that is also fine. So if I go to use select all, this is the type, so that is fine, no problem with this. And once this is actually done, so we can even ignore this part. So if I go to the empty canvas, this doesn't need to be passed in here, so let's get rid of it. And now this is not getting called, so ultimately selection is not getting called. How about at this time? Selection definitely gets called in here. Selection gets called. But when we are selecting, we are not setting the preview shapes. Preview shapes, they are actually undefined. Okay, finally we have them here. So if I click on this preview shapes, they are still undefined. Now we have the preview shapes. That simply means when we are just simply selecting just one and clicking on select all, So preview shape is still this. It does work, but at that time we have only one preview shape. Selected all, we still have only one preview shape, but all of them are selected. So when it comes to changing the stuff, so preview shapes is mainly for previewing it. So when we start moving, then suddenly all of them are selected. So all the selected shapes are gonna be the preview shapes. That is fine. The only problem is that when I click on select all at this level, the preview shape is actually undefined and that never runs. And that is right. So preview shape is undefined, and whenever we just right click, so instead of making it undefined, let's make it an array. That can be an empty array for sure. Yeah, so this preview shape, where do we have it? So if we go to the pointer state and preview shape, it can be this. When it comes to select, we are gonna be having interaction preview, and that interaction preview has the preview shapes. That is actually gonna be an array, and the selected shape id each. It has both frame, and that is fine. So if it actually becomes undefined, means what? Interaction state, that is fine. But if the type is actually select, if the type is select, so I need to have the preview shapes. Now I have to check, that is whenever I'm setting the type to select, am I setting the value as well or not? We are setting the preview shapes, but preview shapes are definitely gonna be we are setting the preview shapes in here, and the selected id each, initializing selection interaction. So right now we have the preview shapes, right? Whenever we click somewhere, the preview shape is undefined. Interaction manager, we are just simply clicking, the type is select. So probably this is something we have to fix. So whenever we click and whether there is the left click or the right click, just simply ignore this as well. As expected. So what I want that if the type is actually select handle router select on pointer, if the type is equals to select, then on pointer move selection. What does this mean? This is the, we have to go with this one, and the type is select on pointer down selection, and when it comes to this on pointer down, and at this point of time, if we are clicking shift plus this, then okay, click on the shift to add or remove, clicked inside the current selection, then okay, clicked on an empty space, then when I actually clicked on an empty space, then clicked inside the current selection box or clicked outside the current selection box, so that's actually gonna be the selection box. Start a new selection box, that is fine, especially when we are clicking, and this is kind of fine for now. And then clicked an unselected shape, so let's even get rid of this part. Initialize selection interaction, so type select, we have the preview shapes that are actually gonna come from here. So preview shape is actually gonna be an empty array, and then we are gonna be adding to the preview shapes if needed. Filter this, preview shapes are actually gonna be assigned in here. This is fine. So when we click, preview shape is still undefined. Analyzing selection, this doesn't really run, so this initializing selection never runs. If this never runs, so on pointer down, that simply means we are sort of clicking on an empty space and we are returning from here. So this is the thing. At that time the type actually becomes the selection box when we just simply click, and that is also right. So if we are just clicking clg pointer refs dot interaction dot current dot type selection box, as expected, so it becomes the selection box, hence there are start point and end points, that is also fine. On pointer up, it actually becomes undefined. Selection box, preview shape is still undefined. No doubt preview shapes are gonna be undefined right now, but on pointer up, when the type becomes select, it should be okay. Let's talk about on pointer up right here. So on pointer up selection, here it is. This is the problematic thing. So on pointer up selection, what is actually happening, that set selected shapes IDs are gonna be just an empty, that is if the interaction type is gonna be selection box, okay, and pointer refs is dragging dot current does not really exist. So ultimately pointer refs is dragging ref dot current, that simply means it's not dragging. In that case, set selected shapes IDs are gonna be empty. Pointer up selection, This doesn't make any sense. Interaction type, if that's triple equals to selection box, okay, that is fine. If the type is actually triple equals to selection box, so if we just click the type is actually selection box, at that time the selected shapes are gonna be to empty array, that is fine. This is something that we can fix. So fixing it in the sense pointer reps, let me keep it simple. So whenever the pointer up actually happens, so at that time current is gonna be dot 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 or let's keep it simple, the type is actually gonna be equals to select when the pointer up actually happens, that is fine, that's the first thing. Preview shapes, that's gonna be an empty array, and selected shape IDs, that's also gonna be an empty array. That's actually gonna be a set of this, hopefully set of a string selected shape ID each, so that's gonna be set of this, that is fine, new set, and this becomes problematic, hence it needs to be like this. So even keeping it like this should be enough. So yeah, this is what we actually needed to do. Now ideally it should be working, but let's see. If we just say okay, this is fine. Yeah. So the preview shape is not undefined right now, hence that particular logic is gonna run, and we are actually able to select everything, and once we actually selected everything, we are even able to change the colors and all. Anyway, this was the problematic thing, and when the pointer up actually happens, that simply means if I just close this, when we right click, what if I return from here just like earlier? If I just simply return from here, so what will happen? This logic is not gonna run. So on pointer down, okay, this doesn't run, but on pointer up that definitely runs, so this should also be fine. Yeah, as expected, it is still working, and that's what I wanted. Alright, so this bug has been resolved. Now console.log preview shapes, let's get rid of this. This is also fine, and alrighty, once this particular thing is done, what is the next thing that we actually have to do? So we have covered this particular section, select all is working. Once select all is working, we should be able to duplicate it. So let's just simply work on duplicating the shape. So hopefully everything is up and running and I'm not facing the network issue. Let me check first of all. Yeah, so coming back to this, we have to duplicate it. So after selecting, we duplicate the stuff. So this is the overall logic that I actually have in here, and this in fact seems to be create duplicate shapes. We have the shapes and use duplicate shapes. We have this logic in here, create duplicated shapes. Duplicate shapes, it just uses create duplicated shapes. So we just simply pass the selected IDs in here, we pass the shapes in here. Just this much is not enough because we even need to save it. So this logic is not quite correct. Use duplicate shapes. So let me go to the history, because on ChatGPT I'm definitely supposed to be having that. logic. But before that, it still seems to be problematic. Okay, that is fine. 26th and moving shapes and frames. We have already gone through this particular section, exactly how they are being moved and all. So the problem is the previous shape contains create a fun a quick function for it. The problem is the shape that they give me. I'll be doing something like alrighty, this particular section does not really have that video reps issue. Avoid duplicate participants. Avoid duplicate participants. This is all about Google Meet clone. State management in Meet still belongs to that. File upload. MongoDB startup logs. This is about the deployment, meeting join, UI design. Yeah, that is right. Toaster property position. MongoDB replica set. Ubuntu, what are we doing in here? That is all about configuring. Okay, fine. GenAI overview. Data recovery inquiry. Well, we couldn't really recover the data. Space key editing issue. So what are we doing first of all in here? That is the space key editing issue related stuff. That is fine. The best approach. We have already fixed this part, so we don't really need to worry about it. But it was done on 19th of July. Okay, so long time back. 19th of July, that is already done. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to this one. We have quite a lot of things in here. This thing is crazy. Tuesday, what we did in here, simplify the logic. The biggest source of all is that you are maintaining multiple intermediate data structures, shape, order, insertion, due shape change, computed shapes. Okay, that is fine. Let's keep going. And shapes. selection menu actions. We have gone through this particular section if I'm not wrong, but let me be sure about this. Yeah, this particular section is something that we've already gone through, just like that. All these bugs, they've already been resolved, so we don't really need to worry about these. Yeah, so what's the privacy? Fixed user index comparison, code refactoring. So compare binary, that is okay. Use selection menu actions, fine with this. Excalidraw code implementation. Copy related stuff, we have gone through this particular section. Write logic for clipboards, we've gone through this as well. Give me code copy. Alright, all these things we have already gone through. Logic for select all is something we've already done, and it was done on Wednesday. What day is it? Wednesday. That is fine. React to get API response versus chat. Best logic refactoring. Advice router and. Alright, time to just simply get the things done directly. State, what is this? State name for page ID, active page ID, right? So probably this is the part that we still have to go through. Yeah, this is the part that we still have to go through. Remaining things are done, sort of. Let's just fix this part first of all really quickly, and that is duplicate shapes, and whenever save the data in the DB as well. So I'm actually gonna ask you to modify the logic a little bit. Modify it to save the data in DB. Just give. Hopefully it will be able to just do that. Use duplicate shapes. Alrighty, let me see if it has done that the right way or not. So this is the logic that it has actually written. So use duplicate shapes, we have it all. We have get duplicated group ID, we have create duplicated shapes, and this is the overall logic. Coming back to this thing, we have all the selected shapes. Return if the length is 0, Duplicated shapes, we just simply create the duplicated ones in here. After that we just simply set optimistic update and set selected shape IDs and invalidate from here. That is also fine. And going ahead, create shapes API duplicate shapes error. If there are any errors, then duplicated IDs are gonna be these, and they are gonna be just simply removed from here. That is also right. So the previous shapes are actually gonna be filtered, and the set shapes are gonna be selected, and they are gonna be invalidated. Okay, that is fine. So this is sort of the rollback. Not really a big problem. Yeah, this seems to be alright. It's just that we don't have the proper create shapes API. This should be create shapes only as of right now, and this actually comes from networking. We still have to fix this, but okay, that's fine right now. Now once this particular thing got done, so we are returning duplicate shapes from here. So if I actually go back to selected shapes menu, use delete shapes, this was the logic for the deletion. I should have pasted in here. Now no problem as such with this. And if I actually go to duplicate, right, so probably in here, even before that in here, we already have used duplicate shapes. When it comes to duplicate shapes, we are using it in here. So ideally it should be working. Let's see. We are gonna duplicate this in here. Error. HTTP backend updated. Yeah, so still a few things need to be changed. There is just duplicated shapes. We are just adding this. That should not be done. It should ideally be fine. Now let's try doing it again. Duplication successful. If we just duplicate it all. Yeah, congrats, this is done. Why are we not able to select this? Okay, this is fine. We can actually create a frame on top of this, so everything is part of that. We can select the children, we can select the frame, inner frame. That's actually gonna be sort of like this. The inner frame is gonna be a little bit smaller in size, but at the end of the day everything should be connected. That is right as well. Even I'm actually gonna create a group in here, so group selection. So this is a group, this is a frame, and that's the top level frame. And now what I want to do, that is of course select all and then duplicate. Once that is done, if I just simply reload the page, we have them here, and we are able to move the things the right way. How about this? This duplication doesn't work. This logic is not right, bro. So when we are actually duplicating the shapes, they are not getting duplicated the right way. That simply means earlier they were right and right now they are not. That simply means when we duplicated them, we are not assigning them the ID the right way. It's okay. Let's go to duplicate shapes. Here we are. So what are we doing in here? So when it comes to duplicating this, we are just simply setting the group ID. That is right. That's really bad. So group ID map, so that is why they are grouped. But how about the frame ID? And create duplicated shapes. So we have the selected shape IDs and we have the shapes when we actually have the shapes. First of all, when it comes to duplicating, so we don't need to have the image assets, because duplicating will happen in the same place. So the image ID is gonna be the same, so we don't really need to worry about that. But one thing that we need to worry about, that is the frame ID. So const shapes ID, when we are duplicating, that needs to be changed. So shape ID map, and that's gonna be new map, and just like this, I have the old ID, I have the new ID in here. And once we have it, so I'm in fact gonna run a for loop so that I have the new IDs for all the shapes. That would be, the shapes should be assigned new IDs, that is right here. So running a for loop, right? In that case, shapes dot here we are. Once we actually have the shape, so if shape id dot map dot get shape dot id, if that is already in there, so shape id dot get dot shape dot this. So this is what we are doing over here. We will recheck the logic, but okay, that's fine. And at the end of the day, we are gonna be getting the ID from shape ID map dot get. That's actually gonna be the shape dot ID, and we even need to have frame ID in here, and that's gonna be shape dot ID dot get shape dot frame ID. Now this can be null. The frame ID can actually be null, that is right. So if I have the shape dot frame ID, then do this, otherwise just simply set it to null, as simple as that. With this now, types of ID are incomplete. Type or undefined is not assignable. String or undefined is not assignable to type string. Most probably I'm gonna get this. We are gonna make sure that it does exist. Types of property frame ID are incompatible. String or not all undefined is not assignable to type or string or null. So undefined is not assignable in there. We have to make sure that it does exist in there. That is fine. the overall issue has been resolved. We'll give it to the AI, and AI is gonna be even gonna make it better. But before that, let me check the logic. Here we have this. We can just simply select all directly as well, so everything is selected, and we are gonna be duplicating it. Once duplicated, we are gonna be just simply moving it in here. And now if we move, so everything moves and the shapes. So the one thing is still missing here, and that one thing is the if the frame ID exists, then I'm gonna be getting the shape ID dot get this. Okay, and it happens for all the shapes. As for the z index, that's gonna be between the previous z index and the null value when it comes to duplicating. So last, okay, we get it from the last, that is also fine. What we do in here, that is when we are looping through all the shapes, all we have to go through all the selected shapes. Shape ID map. So it's better to go through all the shapes because there can be parents as well. So in that case, shape id dot get shape dot id. If that is already there, then we are gonna be returning from here. Otherwise, set shape dot id and UUID v4. That is also fine. So when it comes to getting the ID for the shape, that is great, and when it comes to getting it for the frame, that is also great. So what's wrong with this? This should ideally be okay. Let me see. Let me give it to the AI and see what's the problem with this. Is this okay? Yes, this is much closer to replicating the shapes. There are few improvements I'd make. Only create IDs for the selected shapes. So right now you are creating the IDs for all. This creates new ID for every shape on the canvas, even those aren't being duplicated. That is right, because here we are just sort of filtering it, so that makes sense. So we are gonna be doing it like this. That is completely fine, no problem with this as such. Handle frame ID safely. So when it comes to the frame ID, so if that exists, otherwise null. This line works only if the frame ID is also duplicated. Imagine this: if the user duplicates only rect1, rectangle 1, then shape id dot get frame id returns undefined, which is probably not what the shape is. So it can be this if it exists, or it can be null if it exists. That is fine. So we can go with this as well. This is how it just simply goes. So ultimately what we are doing, that we will try to get the ID. If that doesn't exist, we will be just simply setting it to null. Okay, that is fine. So this works only if the frame ID is also duplicated. So suppose frame, we have rect1, we have rect2. If the user duplicates only rect1, so this is duplicated. So shape id dot get frame id, and returns undefined, because we have just duplicated this. Once this actually got duplicated, so it still has the same frame ID, because of you will actually assign this undefined, which probably not what your shape. That's actually gonna be set to null. Consider what should happen when only children are duplicated? Duplicate becomes a rectangle copy. Then this is what the code about does. Automatically duplicate the frame to. In that case, before creating duplicate shapes, you would expand the selection so the all parent frames are included. Mm, this is not the right version. Like, it is okay, but it's not what it should actually be. So in that case, let me see how it works. It's all about duplicating it again. We have it in here, and now what will happen, that shapes are still, they are not part of this. Here the shapes are part of it, here the shapes are not. Frames are still part of that, but shapes are not. Nope. Ultimately, what the hell, we are even unable to select them. Let me check it from scratch. We have this, this got duplicate. Okay, we created a frame. Once we actually created a frame, we are gonna be just simply selecting all, and we'll be just simply duplicating this. So this time they are not part of this anymore. So the new shapes that I actually got, they do not have what? This is something we have to get it done. We'll have to first of all know about the real issue. So redux state, we have 3 shapes in here. The defined shapes are gonna be in here. Time to duplicate them. So when it comes to duplicating it, so duplicated, we have them in here. As they are duplicated, now they are not really part of the frame. So the frame ID is actually set to null. Frame ID is set to null. Why is the frame ID set to null? First of all, we are setting the IDs for what? For the selected shapes, because they are the ones which are filtered. Okay, so we have the IDs for the selected shapes in here, and we are getting them here one by one. What if the frame ID is not selected? In that case, that's gonna be problematic. So if I just simply remove this part and try this one more time, not still part of that. Frame ID is still null. We are just simply duplicating it. I'm missing something here that I'm unable to understand. Shape.frame ID, if the ID actually exists, in that case shape.get shape.frame ID. So if the frame ID exists, that frame ID could be what? That frame ID can be the ID of any frame or the shape. So we are trying to generate the IDs of any shape dot ID. Once we have it for any shape, so we are looping through it, and at that time let me check this option as well. Paste, copy or paste. Exactly what am I doing in there? So clipboard, we have the shape ID in here. We are just simply going through all the shapes. We are just simply setting the IDs as well. After that, forget about the new image assets. We are just simply looking through all the shapes. We create the clone structure clone, that is fine. Image clone dot group ID is gonna be this, frame ID is gonna be like this, and returning the clone from here. So this should ideally be working, but that's not really working. We are just simply setting the shapes ID in here the way we are doing it back in there, and so we are just simply looking through selected IDs dot has this. So when we duplicate, those shapes are selected. This is problematic. Why? Because if those shapes are selected, then only they are gonna be duplicated. That is fine, okay. And once they actually get duplicated, then we get the shapes in here. Once we actually get the shapes in here, so that's right, got it. But if it is actually right, then let me see. CLG shape ID shape.id, and I even have to check it for we have three shapes in here. In the first one, the frame ID is null, new frame ID is null. That is right. So shape ID we have it here, so the new shape ID is gonna be there, and that is it. In the next one it was null, so this is null, and in the next one shape ID was CA, so it becomes this. Frame ID was DF, so it become 88, so DF to 88, that is fine. And in the third one it was 24, so it become 5F, and new frame ID was 88, so it became DF. From 88 it became DF, from 88 it became DF. So we have the frame ID. We definitely have the frame IDs. Once we have the frame ID, so shape group ID is gonna be like this, frame ID is gonna be like this. It just simply keeps going on, and it returns I'd like to check these duplicated shapes because I am getting the duplicated shapes. Alrighty, coming back to this, they are the duplicated ones that I've got in here. The first one doesn't really have frame ID, that is fine. The second one should definitely have, and it has, and it should be 28, so it should be ID of this one. So 28, and even this one has that 28. So they have the frame IDs, but at the end of the day they are not being saved in the state. So far is this much is fine. Now set shapes are gonna be dot 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 previous shapes, and the duplicated shapes, they are gonna be just simply saved in there. Set shapes, so if I'm actually getting it in here, so what is the ID? The last shape's ID is gonna be AA, 9A and AA at the end, and 9328, 9A AA. So last shape's ID is gonna be 9A AA, and the frame ID is actually set to null. What is making this happen? Selected shapes IDs are gonna be the shape.id, that is also fine. We are invalidating it, that is good. Duplicated shapes, the crazy thing is that we have the value in there, until unless we actually roll back, but that should actually never happen. One more time. The logic is right, I don't know what's making it behave the way it is behaving. Now what is the problem? Board internal here, we are still passing that or what? Let me see. We do not have updated in here, so that should be fine. If I just simply reload the page, it's just simply starting again, not bad. that is fine. If we just simply duplicate this, so we have these three in here. The first one doesn't have because that is the top level frame. Second one has 03, that's the ID of the first one, and third one also has that 03 frame ID. If it actually has the frame ID, A4 and A3, so why aren't we really able to save the state in here? This is fine. Duplicated shapes, all the previous shapes and the duplicated shapes. भाई दिक्कत क्या है? When I have the ID in the duplicated shape, so when I set it to the shapes, why isn't the value being saved in there? Let me see it in here. We still have the frame ID in here. You've got to be kidding me. So if we still have the frame ID in here, that's what we are returning from here. So भाई इधर ये नल क्यों हो रहा है? हाँ, ये सर खफा काम है. What is the ID? The ID is, does it have updated? The ID is 99 and 1F. It even has the page ID. That is okay. You should be having that. Created by is okay. That is fine as well. 991F. So if I actually come back to this, the last one, this is the same. That is 991F, and this one has the frame ID in here, but this one doesn't. When is the logic being modified? क्या करूँ मैं अब? पता नहीं. Rollback isn't really a problem. Page ID and duplicated shapes. So even when the shapes go to the backend, we must be sending it the same way, bro. It should be done that way only. Duplicate this. So we have the shapes. The first one will be null, but the second one, they have the frame ID. Once duplicated, This is the most insane thing I've ever seen. I'd better just do it again after a while. I don't know. Right now this is crazy. It looks pretty simple. We even have the right locks. The right data is being sent. But some way something is missing, that is just something is removing the frame ID altogether. And hence that doesn't become the part of the frame. Anyway, gonna take a break for now, and we'll be resolving it later. Right now my mind is completely blank. From my side I'm actually doing everything right, and we even have the right data that is being sent to the backend, and especially when we reload the page, so we are gonna be getting that kind of data only. But still the frame doesn't have those shapes, but here we are. Now they are gonna be part of that. So this is something we still have to resolve, but okay, it's gonna be fun. Let's do it after a while, so that my mind is actually able to think in a different way. Okay, then take care, bye bye, see you.